Okay, welcome back. We are on workbook lesson number 134. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Let us review the meaning of forgive, for it is apt to be distorted and to be perceived as something that entails an unfair sacrifice of righteous wrath, a gift unjustified and undeserved, and a complete denial of the truth. In such a view, forgiveness must be seen as mere eccentric folly, and this course appear to rest salvation on a whim. All right, so forgiveness is an earthly form of love. Forgiveness is the answer to everything. Forgiveness is the means to the atonement. Forgiveness is the way to salvation. It's the way to freedom. It's the way to total happiness. To forgive is to live the happy dream, or as the Course also refers to it as the real world. So we could say, while we're here on planet Earth, forgiveness is the key to everything. Of course, the ego is going to make it seem like an unfair sacrifice of righteous wrath, a gift unjustified to some undeserving person, and a complete denial of truth, which the ego's version of truth is always, hey, you did something to me, you should be punished, you did something wrong, and that's the truth. The truth is you hurt me. And if I forgive, then I'm denying that false truth. Okay, so that's how the ego, one of the many ways, some of the many ways the ego perceives forgiveness. This twisted view of what forgiveness means is easily corrected when you can accept the fact that pardon is not asked for what is true. It must be limited to what is false. It is irrelevant to everything except illusions. Truth is God's creation, and to pardon that is meaningless. All truth belongs to Him, reflects His laws, and radiates His love. Does this need pardon? Do we need to forgive heaven? How can you forgive the sinless and eternally benign? So the lesson starts out by telling us how distorted the ego can make this powerful tool called forgiveness, and then goes on to say how, in a way, nonsensical it would be to forgive truth. Paragraph 3. The major difficulty that you find in genuine forgiveness on your part is that you still believe you must forgive the truth and not illusions. Okay, so there's the setup. The ego has it all upside down. To forgive is to let go. And what we've done is we've let go of truth. We've let go of our reality, happy and peaceful and whole as spirit in heaven, changeless, formless, perfect, and eternal. We've forgiven that. We let it go. And we've opted in instead for separate bodies in a separate world of form where we claim to not know who we are or what we're doing. And that's very painful. You conceive of pardon as a vain attempt to look past what is there, to overlook the truth in an unfounded effort to deceive yourself by making an illusion true. This twisted viewpoint but reflects the hold that the idea of sin retains as yet upon your mind as you regard yourself. Okay, so just kind of going a little further with the upside down nature of the ego. And that's what the ego does. It turns everything upside down and inside out. And forgiveness is what turns it all right side back up. We see through the lens of our reality. We see through the lens of eternal truth. We look upon a forgiven world, and that's how we start to find happiness. And that's the source of happiness. Paragraph 4. Because you think your sins are real, you look on pardon as deception, for it is impossible to think of sin as true and believe forgiveness is a lie. So just deepening further, because we don't see sins as forgivable mistakes, that would just make the idea of pardon and true forgiveness deceptive. For it is impossible to think of sin as true and not believe forgiveness is a lie. Thus is forgiveness really but a sin like all the rest. It says the truth is false and smiles on the corrupt as if they were as blameless as the grass, as white as snow. It is delusional in what it thinks it can accomplish. It would see as right the plainly wrong, the loathsome as the good. See, so it's speaking to our willingness to compromise. It's a world of vast world of compromise. We accept some things for whatever reason. We deny other things. There's no consistency. And as the Course informs us in the 10 characteristics of God's teachers, honesty is consistency. There's nothing honest here because nothing is consistent. And that's why our deepest prayer is to call on the consistency of the eternal truth and let that shine through us. And everything is miraculously corrected. That's what the miracle does. Because we realize we're here to heal. Can't blame and heal at the same time. It is delusional in what it thinks it can accomplish. It would see as right the plainly wrong, the loathsome as the good. Okay, read that. Paragraph 4. Pardon is no escape in such a view. It merely is a further sign that sin is unforgivable, at best to be concealed, denied or called another name, for pardon is a treachery to truth. Yeah, so to truly forgive the ego, it's like the devil just rises up. This flame of hate just comes marching in. It says, there's no way. There's no way to forgive. It's treacherous because I can see it right there with my own eyes. They committed that sin. They must be punished. And we know that all projection is self-projection. So when we take that kind of position, we're really persecuting ourselves. Hate follows hate. Same way love follows love. The idea is that guilt cannot be forgiven. The ego demands punishment of guilt. So guilt demands punishment, and guilt cannot be forgiven by the ego's perspective. So there we are, locked in prison, locked ourselves in prison. If you sin, your guilt is everlasting. That's the idea that keeps us in change. Those who are forgiven from the view their sins are real are pitifully mocked and twice condemned. Those who are forgiven from the view their sins are real are pitifully mocked and twice condemned. First, by themselves for what they think they did, and once again by those who pardon them. Paragraph 6. It is sin's unreality that makes forgiveness natural and wholly sane. All right, so there it is. We have to start having a gentle willingness to see that sin, something unforgivable, is real. See, we make it real, like my dear friend Jane would say. Here's how you walk happily through life. Participate willingly. Don't make it real. That's what it's speaking to here. And number three, above all, don't be afraid of it. Don't make it real. That's what it's saying. A deep relief to those who offer it, a quiet blessing where it is received by the holy sane here, those who just could step back and not make it real. We soften our thoughts about it. It does not countenance illusions, but collects them lightly with a little laugh and gently lays them at the feet of truth. And there they disappear entirely, as the text says, back into the nothingness from which they came. It's much ado about nothing, is the ego's constant barrage of blame and shame, unwillingness to forgive. Okay, here we go. Going deep. Paragraph 7. Forgiveness is the only thing that stands for truth in the illusions of the world. So we don't go looking for it in the world. Don't go looking for one thing being more true than another. Like Shakespeare said, there is no right or wrong. Only thinking makes it so. Forgiveness sees their nothingness and looks straight through the thousand forms in which they may appear. It looks on lies, but is not deceived. It does not heed the self-accusing shrieks of sinners mad with guilt. It looks on them with quiet eyes and merely says to them, my brother, what you think is not the truth. Now, if we don't say those words, we can certainly think them and hold them in our hearts. That's one way to watch the news. Watch the news tonight, and every no matter who the talking head is, you can say, "My brother, what you think is not the truth," and just watch the corners of your mouth curl up. Watch a little chuckle come into your heart. It's really, you know, back to Shakespeare. Well, we're going to see it as a comedy or a tragedy. The choice is ours. Paragraph 8. The strength of pardon is its honesty, which is so uncorrupted that it sees illusions as illusions, not as truth. It is because of this that it becomes the deceiver in the face of lies, the great restorer of the truth. By its ability to overlook what is not there, it opens up the way to truth, which has been blocked by dreams of guilt. Now are you free to follow in the way your true forgiveness opens up to you. For if one brother has received this gift of you, the door is open to yourself. Yeah, and that's the beauty of forgiveness. When we forgive our brother, we forgive ourselves. There's no bones about it. And having studied the Course quite a bit, I would say that that is the order. In reading it, I think the order of the quickest way to salvation is to forgive the seeming other. In doing so, we really forgive ourselves, because even the illusion of time and space is all one. It just appears separate. So if I'm talking to a brother, I'm talking to myself. Belief will say otherwise. So forgive another, watch the judgment, watch the blame, forgive, forgive, forgive. And in so doing, I unwind my own patterns. Isn't that kind of a nice form of psychology? We don't have to go to therapy per se and go deep into our own story. Now, that can be very, very helpful. But what about letting life be the path and letting every single encounter we have, as if Spirit is just sending us one person and one situation after another? So I forgive. I look past. I see through. I want to know the truth that we all have in common. There is a very simple way to find the door to true forgiveness and perceive it open wide and welcome. When you feel that you are tempted to accuse someone of sin in any form, do not allow your mind to dwell on what you think he did, for that is self-deception. See, the moment I buy into someone else's guilt, I'm deceiving myself. Ask instead, would I accuse myself of doing this? Thus will you see alternatives for choice in terms that render choosing meaningful and keep your mind as free of guilt and pain as God Himself intended it to be, and as it is in truth. What is God's will for us? Perfect happiness. It is but lies that would condemn. And what is a lie but anything that says that thing in form, in time and space, is real? That's a lie. In truth, is innocence the only thing there is? In heaven, innocence, pure love, pure oneness. In our reality, this truth is the only thing there is. Forgiveness stands between illusions and the truth, between the world you see and that which lies beyond, between the hell of guilt and heaven's gate. Now, this idea of heaven's gate has come up a few times, and I wanted to comment on it. There's no gate, same as there's no godly man with a beard. There is no form in heaven. So the idea of a gate, and elsewhere in the Course, it talks about the lawns of heaven. Isn't that beautiful? Like now you're on the lawns of heaven. Once you really sort of have the willingness and practice and apply forgiveness, you're on the lawns of heaven. You're knocking on heaven's gate. And that's a bridge. That is a bridge that we cross. So paragraph 11, cross this bridge, as powerful as love, which laid its blessing on it, are all dreams of evil and of hatred and attack, brought silently to truth. They are not kept to swell and bluster and to terrify the foolish dreamer who believes in them. He has been gently weakened from his dream by understanding that what he thought he saw was never there. And now he cannot feel that all escape has been denied him. Yeah, we want out. We may not really admit it, we may not really know it, but we want out. We want out of the dream. The only way out is in. We've got to go into the mind. We've got to unwind and keep panning out. Let the mind expand. Keep seeing it differently, seeing it differently, seeing it differently. And all of a sudden, the escape hatch is just right there. He does not have to fight to save himself. Yeah, you can't be healed and fight at the same time. He does not have to kill the dragons which he thought pursued him. like the hero of the dream, the hero, the hero's story. He goes out and conquers and fights the dragons, only to return home to realize he never needed to leave home. That's the story of the ego thought system. Nor need he erect the heavy walls of stone and iron doors he thought would make him safe. He can remove the ponderous and useless armor made to chain his mind to fear and misery. His step is light, and as he lifts his foot to stride ahead, a star is left behind to point the way to those who follow him. Oh, so beautiful. In other words, the best defense is no defense. Safety lies in my salvation. Safety lies in my vertical alignment, not my horizontal course of action and my horizontal plans and my actions on the timeline. No, my safety lies in my defenselessness. Today we practice true forgiveness, that the time of joining be no more delayed, for we would meet with our reality in freedom and in peace. Our practicing becomes the footsteps lighting up the way for all our brothers who will follow us to the reality we share with them. That's it. We just demonstrate this. We demonstrate forgiveness to ourselves. Yeah. That this may be accomplished, let us give a quarter of an hour twice today and spend it with the guide who understands the meaning of forgiveness and was sent to us to teach it. Let us ask of him, Spirit, this is the prayer. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Then choose one brother as he will direct and catalog his sins as one by one they cross your mind. Okay, so it's asking us to pick someone and catalog their sins, catalog all the things that they do to upset you, all their wrongdoings. All right. Be certain not to dwell on any one of their sins, but realize that you are using his offenses, but to save the world from all ideas of sin. Briefly consider all the evil things you thought of him, and each time ask yourself, would I condemn myself for doing this? Let him be freed from all the thoughts you had of sin in him. And now you are prepared for freedom. If you have been practicing thus far in willingness and honesty, you will begin to sense a lifting up, a lightening of weight across your chest, a deep and certain feeling of relief. See, Jesus is the ultimate counselor, the ultimate psychologist. He knows us so well. He knows the ego thought system so well. Can we trust this voice? Can we trust these words? Everything depends on trust. So to some degree, we keep building our trust. I'll trust this process. I may not believe it. I may not even like it, but I want to feel better. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try this forgiveness thing today. And I'm going to pray to know what it truly is. The time remaining in your 15 minutes, and you can carry it all through the day if you like, the time remaining should be given to experiencing the escape from all the heavy chains you sought to lay upon your brother, but were laid upon yourself. That's the trick of the ego. We point our finger to hold others in bondage, and really we end up bonding ourselves. Forgiveness should be practiced through the day, for there will still be many times when you forget its meaning and attack yourself. When I attack another, I attack myself. And when this occurs, allow your mind to see through this illusion as you tell yourself, let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Would I accuse myself of doing this? I will not lay this chain upon myself. In everything you do, remember this. No one is crucified alone, and yet no one can enter heaven by himself. What a closing. No one is crucified alone. I cannot crucify or punish or attack another without attacking myself. And no one can enter heaven by himself. So that's why we heal through our brothers and sisters. That's why we heal together. That's why in the Course and even in the Bible, Jesus will say, I took you with me. I took you with me, and now it's our job to believe it. And that's what we do. You know, it's why I sit here and share these beautiful words. I don't even know if these are being watched really. I share them because I just want to know this. I want to learn it. And if I'm sharing it truly with myself and it's landing on my heart, then it's landing on all hearts. How do I know that? I just trust it. And that's the trust that, that you may use to heal today. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. No one is crucified alone, and yet no one can enter heaven by himself. All right, thank you very much for joining me here. Lesson 134. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Thank you, and namaste.